Hey everybody, welcome back to Player and DM, which is a show where I, Jenny, the Dungeon Master for High Hopes and Rolls, talks to a player. Today it's Beth.
Hello.
About a character that they have in the show, in the game, whilst they draw that character. Beth's come back for round 2.
Because it's Terra.
Because we're talking about Terra. Such a cutie.
My God, I forgot to speak immediately. Like, Terra was actually the first of my characters to be introduced, because when Alex did that initial Speedpaint, it was Terra that was in it.
Yeah.
Way back in the day.
Yeah. It feels particularly weird. It's such a weird order of events, right? So, we're playing with Alex, and Alex joins the story kind of like halfway through, I guess, and then when you're like level 7 or something. And then some stuff happens and you're playing Terra, and then for my birthday he does the speed paint, or he makes the poster which he makes a speed paint out of, and that makes us be like, oh hey, we could actually make a show.
We could do this.
We could do this. So we start doing that, and of course everybody knows Terra, but we're starting with Gwing.
Yep. We'll go backwards a bit.
Yeah. So it's going to be a while before
we get to Terra, yeah. Which is probably a good thing, because I've had there's a couple of characters that you'll never see that I've had in this campaign that bopped in and out, but all of my characters have had more thought through lives and backstories than Terra. Like, Terra exists to me, like when I made her, she was a visual character. Like, I designed her visually before I knew anything about her. And then I played her and she was completely different again. Which is why, like, on paper, she doesn't, like, it doesn't really fit with who she turned out to be.
Yeah. So we know some concrete stuff about Terra, right? Like, for example, based on her, I guess you chose this based on her design, that she's an Earth Genasi, right? Mm-hmm. But because she's a tiefling, you decided to go for so in our game, so you have the races as you can get them out of the book, for example. So you got Earth Genasi, Elf, Tiefling, whatever. It made sense to me that you kind of only would be a Genasi because you would be part genie in some way, part Jinn, or in Terra's case, part Dao. So it would make sense that you would, unless you are the child of two genies, that you would have a mix of the second parent in there, which is why Mina's a little bit elfy. She's got the elf ears and
we
stuff.
did it only visually. They didn't take any of the physical trait or like any of the statistical traits.
Yeah, mostly because
it would make you super buff.
I didn't want to accidentally make you really OP, so we just went visual. Like, Terra doesn't have hellish rebuke or anything. She's just cool
visually
looking.
Looks a little bit more like she's got the short horns, and it's why she's kind of got that sort of like the cracked, because she's kind of made like stone, right? She's kind of earthy, and she's kind of cracked a little bit, where you can see like the light, like the tiefling, the fiery kind of thing.
Yeah.
That was kind of my whole, like, that's where she started in the design of her. And when I was thinking about it, I was like, I'm going to make her really cool. She's going to be really badass. Like, she looks cool, so she should like be cool. And she was a fighter, and then I played her, and that's not what came out at all.
Yeah, it turns out that despite me being like, of the earth and of stone, she's like actually super soft.
Yeah, she's just a big, like, she's very squishy.
Big old softie.
Yeah.
She doesn't like it very much, does she?
No, we've kind of worked around her, like, so she's a fighter, that's her class, and she's physically very strong, which I think is kind of how that came to be. I know, and I don't think it's a spoiler, that so the things I do know about her, it was her mum that was the genie, and her father was a tiefling, but she's never met either of them. The only way she knows that is that the place that she was dropped off, basically, which was the town on the edge of like the elemental gate, she was dropped off basically by her mum because you know, she can't live in the elemental plane. That's not going to work. And that's sort of all she knew. And she grew up in this very isolated town, sort of on the edge, and built into the...
Yeah. So Terra's from Wahal, which is, as you said, the gate community for the elemental gate of Earth. And it's an air canyon, basically. And the houses, you know, like the town is built into the walls of the air canyon. So it's a canyon set into the ground, which, I mean, is kind of the antithesis of an air canyon, but you know what's magic, I don't care. It looks cool. If you were to step off the edge of the canyon and fall straight down, you would fall into the plane of Earth.
Mm-hmm.
So the community is built into the sides of the canyon, like both as a way of like disguising it, so you know you're not drawing attention to it from the surface, but also as like, you know, try and stop people from falling into it, I guess. Like there's like bridges and stuff to go across. That's kind of it really that I have to say about Wahal. Again,
I mean,
like,
visually it's really cool, but like we've not needed
really talked
to
about it, have we?
No, we've not hugely needed to at this point. At some point there might be need to do that. Like that's kind of it. And like my thinking is that because she was physically strong and physically different, they trained her to fight so that she would both be able to defend herself and her community, because that's kind of what they wanted her to be. But realistically, when she went out into the world, she had never fought a real person. Everything exists only in theory and in training.
Yeah, there's no actual combat happening.
Yeah, so she doesn't really actually know how to fight, and like she had never been outside of her town before she like ended up meeting High Hopes. So like there's a lot more than she was ever expecting.
Yeah. The world turns out it's quite big and quite messy in comparison to her home. And I feel like, you know, there's like, it's not just like, oh, we want you to defend us, kind of like you have to train to be physically fit or whatever. I feel like there's actual, you know, there's benefit to being able to, like, for example, climb.
Yeah.
You know, like to being able to haul loads and stuff vertically, and you know, I imagine kind of everybody from Wahal is relatively fit in some way. It's just that real combat turned out to be
not for her.
Awful. Yeah.
We've been a couple of fights where she's been in and she's done magic, or she's basically hid. She's never actually drawn a weapon, I don't think.
No, I don't think so.
Her magic is all very earth and fire based.
She's a Eldritch Knight.
Knight, yeah. So she took that path, but she's got a lot of spells from Xanthar's guide, because there's some really interesting ones in there, and like the one that she does like a cantrip is called Mold Earth, so she can like move bits of, you know.
Cool. I do seem to remember like a couple of desert fights where Terra was crouched behind something, slinging eldritch blasts, screaming, "I don't want to be here."
yeah, basically. Yeah, and they spend actually the time that she was there, they spent a lot of time in the desert, so she actually used a lot of like the desert to her advantage, moved in the sand and to help her and stuff.
Yeah, she turned out to be quite, like, for a fighter, she actually turned out to be quite, you know, like when Rook sits down to pick his spell list, right? Like, he's trying to balance like utility versus, are we going to punch somebody today? I feel like Terra kind of really was she's like a utility person, right? She almost never went for the fight.
No, she did what she could to help in every other way, you know, to defend or to heal or to hide, you know.
Yeah, to move great quantities of sand really quickly.
Yeah.
Bless her.
I think, see, she's one of those, like, if I made her now, right, like if we hadn't released what her class was, if we were allowed to go back, I would have made her a monk, I think. Because I think the way that Jazz plays Mina, and like she really uses all of the monk traits in a way that really push the Air Genasi bit, I would have done the same for Terra, I think, because that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
Kind of, I guess. There would have been a lot more cool magic as well.
I feel like we can do that, though. I feel like if you want to go over and just make Terra a monk, I feel like we can do that. There's no rules. I make the rules. I'm the dungeon master. You know?
I think as well, because during the time that she was in it, she never did anything like so set in stone that we couldn't.
Yeah, she also did a lot of stuff that I feel like if Mina was not so focused on, so I imagine Terra would take Way of the Four Elements, which is one of the monk paths.
Yeah,
that Terra would focus on. I mean, I haven't read the book in ages. I imagine this video's gonna have loads of comments about like how this isn't monk stuff, but like, you know, she would be an airbender, not an airbender, an earthbender, right? Like she would focus.
That's basically
on the stuff that applied to her.
Yeah,
the stuff she was comfortable with.
That would make a lot more sense as well, in terms of where she grew up, because I know that in that community there were a lot of monks and a lot of like, it was vaguely spiritual, you know?
Yeah.
Like, and where Mina's from as well, like it's like a monastery, right? So
yeah. There's like, it's like there's a sense of, I don't know, spiritual is quite the word. I mean, Mina is, she worships Cord, but definitely there's like a sense of duty that's kind of like it's like a tenet almost, you know, like how you might like you have like the 5 pillars of Islam, for example, like the sense of duty to the land and to the maintenance of the gate, to protecting the gate and protecting the world from stuff coming out of the gate. It's like that kind of, you know, the pillars of our community. Definitely.
Yeah, that I don't really know what to say about her. That's kind of it.
Yeah, I mean that's fine. She's a soft old pile of sand.
Yeah, she absolutely loves Mina. She like looks up to her like a big sister. I mean, and she has to, because you know Mina's like a billion feet.
Yeah. Do you know how tall Terra is? She's like regular sized, right? She's not short.
No, she's like 5'5" or something.
Yeah, you know? I mean, you know, she's not like 5 foot, basically.
No, yeah.
She's not tiny.
Yeah, she's like, I think I pushed her to the shorter end of the Air Genasi or the Earth Genasi, because they're quite big normally. That's Terra, really. She existed basically as a design, and I worked backwards from there. And still am. There's not been much need to like flesh her out any more than she currently is, but I think one day we will get to the point where we need to do that.
And I look forward to that day.
Yeah. A quick note about this drawing. You will have seen, maybe I should put this at the beginning, but so I started drawing her, and I got halfway through and then I realized I didn't like the way I inked it, so I scrapped it and I started again. And then I lost the first half of the footage from the second drawing, so you've got a bit of one and then the bit of the other, and they do actually match together quite nicely. That's why there's a jump in the middle, if you were curious. Maybe I'll put a note in the thing, but there we go. There's Terra.
Thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed this conversation, then hey, like the video, maybe subscribe to our channel for more of this good stuff, and leave us a comment telling us what you think about Terra. Don't leave us a comment telling us the rules of the game.
Don't let me know about the mechanical issues. It's too late. We don't care anymore.
It's too late. Yeah.
It's already
Thanks
happened.
very much for watching, everybody. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye.